The Joel Fernandez Show is a talk show channeled spontaneously from source to edify and help raise the vibrations of truthers, starseeds, Christic alchemists, and others who have seen through this illusionary matrix into messianic consciousness by discussing hidden knowledge, higher dimensions, and manifesting so that we can shine our light for everyone to see and co create the earth that we know we actually deserve to live in. Don't! I gotta go! I'm working on the show! Psst! Hey Joel, what are you doing, man? Camera's rolling.
What, we're on?
Oh, welcome everybody to another episode of The Joel Fernandez Show. I'm Joel Fernandez, and actually today I was just enjoying some amazing golden kiwis. These are like, your regular kiwis. I just love them, and honestly I kind of like them a bit more than the regular green kiwis. I don't know. There was a time, of course, when I was just raw vegan. I was eating fruit all day, and my go-to breakfast was literally a bag of kiwis. I remember, man, I would eat like 24 kiwis every morning. And of course, the problem is that a lot of these fruits that we buy here locally are, picked raw because they ship them all the way from either New Zealand or Italy, or I think Greece also is where they grow a lot of kiwis. And man, kiwis literally did a number on my teeth. I'm not gonna hide that. Like, raw food, if you get it ripe and you're living in the tropics, that's a whole other issue. But if you're trying to pull that off where the fruit's not grown locally and you have to wait for it to ripen, man, that's definitely not fun. But yeah, just enjoying the day today. I mean, what is it? Like episode 36? I never thought the episodes would get this far, but honestly, like, even this channel has just been developing and really growing in the message that has to be shared. And it's really all about that message, It's not about me, even though the show has my name on it, but the changes that are coming in the videos that I'm going to be making and publishing, like, I am going to be making reasoning sessions, but I am going to be doing a weekly deep dive into the scriptures, and that is going to be the main focus on this channel. The Joel Fernandez Show, that's just for fun, I get to talk about whatever I want to, from conspiracies to recipes to even the deep dives, yes. But I'm going to commit a specific show on this channel for just that, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. New heights, new horizons, new perspectives, new potentials, all of that coming through. And we're getting a bit of thunder now. It was actually a nice day, pretty sunny. Like, we've had a bit of clouds lately here in Calgary, but it's been nice. But just now the thunder has started rolling in, but that's good too, because we need that rain. The rain is literally a symbol of the blessing that comes down from the skies, from heaven. And that's what we're all about. We're all about living in abundance. We're all about living our best lives, because that's what Source wants for us, right? There's nothing less that we deserve when we're tapped into that vine, that true conduit of life that just flows into us and out through us into this world. We can literally manifest that if we just have the faith to do so. But I want to share some of the new jewelry that I've picked up over the last little while, because, I'm always wearing a ring, a bracelet, a necklace, and a lot of times, like, I'm wearing something new and I haven't even explained where it comes from or how I got it or what it means or all of that. So I'm going to be doing a bit of that in this episode. And you know what? Let's start with this righteous ring of mine. So you all heard of the Lion King? Well, technically this is the Lion King ring, because he's wearing a crown, and of course this symbolizes the Lion of Judah. And of course the story of the Lion of Judah is represented in the first blessing when Yaakov blesses Judah, and he actually says, "Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stoops down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?" And then he goes on to say, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be." So that's talking about royal rights. and how the kingdom of Judah and even the kingdom into our modern day traces their lineage back to this kind of bloodline. But let's not get into that conspiracy, because in the book of the Apocalypse it even says, "And one of the elders said unto me," who is John writing this, "Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof." And we're talking about a book that is sealed with 7 seals. You know, I know a lot of churchgoers get caught up in the literal version, and a lot of people that seek the esoteric interpretations just brush over the literal meaning, but that's just one of the 7 seals. And you got to take all 7 seals on your plate. You can't pick and choose, because until you open all 7 seals, you're not going to realize the true meaning and the true depth of what this book, this living word, literally a being that's alive, that has taken on the physical form of written words in a book. You'll never get to the depth of what that is actually conveying. And you know, honestly, that kind of sucks, because one of the best things that we have at our disposal is literally this living word. And when we tap into this living word, we can actually realize what it's trying to say. And one of my favorite oracles in this book is literally the book that bears my name, and that's Joel. And Joel the prophet, or Yoel HaNabi in the Hebrew, actually says, "Tiklu shofar b'tzion, harigu bechar kadshi." And that literally means, blow the trumpet, the shofar in Zion, and sound the alarm on my holy mountain.
Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Sound the alarm on my holy mountain. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Sound the alarm.
What's the alarm, you ask? Well, that's the call to assembly. That's when literally the enemy's at the gates. But he's not saying sound the alarm on the wall, or, you know, at the gates, or even in the marketplace. He's saying sound it on my holy mountain. And what the holy mountain represents is where the temple literally was. And that was literally the most sacred and secure part of the city of David, or Jerusalem. So yes, the message of Joel is literally a very urgent one, and that's why I got this necklace here. And of course, that book is my namesake, you know, that's my name, and that's exactly what I'm living up to. It's sounding the alarm to the churches, addressing the hypocrisy and challenging the wisdom of the status quo in the very churches themselves, because the church leaders, they've completely deserted their ranks. And it's time for a wake-up call, and it's those of us that are awake are declaring war on the institutionalized systems and the kingdom of darkness.
What's that? War were declared.
We're declaring war on the kingdom of darkness because it can't last any longer. We are cutting it at its root, and we're stepping forth, because literally this is the time for the great awakening. This is the time of the great outpouring, and we're seeing it happen. People are waking up left and right. They're starting to ask questions. And where are they going to turn to? Well, they're not going to turn to the media for answers, because the people that have already started waking up have already realized that the media is just manipulative and leading us on. And right now it's hailing outside, so that's definitely got to be a sign. Crazy stuff. And there's the hail. As you can see, a lot of hail came down. And one thing about hail is that it comes down with this outpouring, right? But of course, it also has that tendency to destroy all the old growth. It comes down with such force that it literally rips off those leaves and all that other stuff. So it is a symbol of purging during this great outpouring. Hail is literally that symbol that shows both in tandem. But we're definitely experiencing this outpouring, and it looks like the hail has let off, but it is still raining like crazy. And that's just confirmation, right? I mean, look at this. When you act on the inspiration that source is given to you, things line up in the physical, and you get confirmations left, right, and center. And check that beautiful rainbow out, guys. See, that also is a sign. I don't know if you can see the double bow there. I think my camera's picking it up. But that definitely is a sign, because when Noah came off the ark, Elohim told him, "And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. You know, and here we are looking at this double bow, and that's a sign of the double portion, because this outpouring that's happening now is exponential to what has ever been experienced before. And literally, the enemy is just running scared. There's nowhere for the enemy to run. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because this is a time when, you know what, no matter what the media is telling us, the media will make it look like, you know, these guys are sitting on their high horses, you know, and nothing can faze them. They're in control, and everything that's coming down the pipeline is coming from them. Nothing can stop them. But guess what? They're already stopped dead in their tracks, and they're cowering in fear. Some of them are even in fetal position under their desk. I've seen this in the spirit realm. Some of this are literally vomiting with fear. And of course, while we don't want to wish harm and defeat and judgment on our enemy, you know what? They deserve it. And the Lord of the harvest is coming after them with their harvest, because they've sown the seeds. They've sown the seeds against humanity. They've sown the seeds against literally the whole earth. They've tried to decimate the earth with, you know, everything that's been summed up through commercialism. But you know what? They can't evade judgment forever. And justice is already coming. I'm already reaping my own kind of harvest with the blossoming of my own life. And let me tell you, it's been pretty amazing. So I want all of us to really wake up and to see that, you know, there's a potential when you actually harness the living logos. Get Christ to work through you. And once that just manifests into the world, man, just literally changes the world from inside out. And when I say inside out, I mean your own life out into the world. And other people see that, and you start to connect with people like you never would even imagine you could. These people weren't even on your radar before. Events and situations and all will unfold that you couldn't even have imagined. And that's the beauty of infinite source, because source has all the details lined up, even the minor ones, and really cares about our life. But you know, we got to let go of trying to control things through the egos. As long as we're doing that, source is just standing there like hands tied behind his back, figuratively, of course. Source is omnipotent, but we're the ones stopping it, and source is just waiting, saying, are you done? Are you going to let me have a go at lining things up? And, you know, 10 years might pass, and we're still trying to manipulate physical reality, still trying to meet people, still trying to get the right job. And like I said, source can give you an idea like that will make you a billionaire overnight. That's the infinity that source embodies. So let's tap into that, shall we? Rather than trying to figure out things in the physical. Really? But yeah, I'm just preparing some hummus because I'm gonna be getting ready to eat pretty soon. So yeah, I've got some chickpeas on the Instant Pot, and actually it's pretty much ready. So I'm gonna get to work on preparing that. I'm not gonna share the recipe on this show because I've already done that in a previous show. You can check that out right here. And that's gonna be a quick snack, and then after that I'm gonna have some barley soup. I don't really have a recipe for that yet on my channel, but we'll be getting to that in the future. So you can check out some of those other recipes on that channel because they're amazing, they're vegan, they're all clean, and they're healthy. Because there ain't nothing better that you can put into your body to facilitate life than life itself. And we're not talking death on my channel. And the converse of that statement literally means to stop putting death into your body. Because honestly, it's not just death, but it's torture and it's pain and it's suffering, because there ain't no animal that wants to die. You know, it's not like the chicken says, hey, you know, you can take my legs for meat. Nah, they don't say that. But the apple grows on the tree, and the apple is for consumption. And the tree just gives you the apple. When it's ripe, it literally just falls right into your hand. And when you bite into it, you know that's part of the divine plan. You know, taking a bite out of a little lamb, that's not quite so righteous. You know, going out there and cutting a lamb's neck, and then you gotta drain the blood, and then, you know, chop up the body parts, simmer it on the stove, and do all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you flavor it with plants. Flesh doesn't taste good by itself. Even barbecue sauce, man, that's all plants. And when you really think about it, the toughest animals, you know, elephants, rhinos, gorillas, you know, where did they get their protein from? And I'm also wearing my foundation necklace. This has the 12 stones of each month and also the 12 foundations of New Jerusalem. Those are each of these different gemstones, and they all have symbolic meaning. I'm not going to go into that in detail in this video because this is honestly quite an old piece of jewelry that I've worn in other episodes way back when I was talking about this stuff more in detail. But you know what? I'm probably going to do that in a future episode where I talk about this. But that's just another piece of jewelry I have on. Of course, the hematite ring. And today I'm wearing that muakite bracelet, which I made in another previous episode. If you caught that, that was kind of cool. Just showing you how to string beads together. Not as exciting as maybe some of my other projects, but you know, muakite is still a great stone. It's found in Australia. Mukaite. Mukaite. I keep saying muakite, but it's mukaite. Sorry, guys. Mukaite. And it's found in Australia. It's actually a form of jasper, really. It's pretty cool, the deep reds and browns and the ochre. It's a really cool stone. But yeah, I'm gonna cut here and pick up the show at another time. Peace.
We are marching into battle with the bloodstained banner held over our head. We are marching into battle with the power of the Holy Ghost to raise the dead. So let me hear your war cry. Let me hear your war cry. We are the warriors of the new millennium, soldiers of the cross. We are the warriors of the new millennium, soldiers of the cross. Let me hear your war cry. Let me hear your war cry.
We're back. And I'm just enjoying some good old watermelon. And I'm going to lose that Australian accent here in a bit. But what do you think of that kind of music, hey? That's the real church. The Kingdom of Darkness doesn't own the guitar. And this is the very music that was used in the oracles of the Hebrew scriptures themselves. Like, that song was recorded by Prophet Robin Bullock, and he doesn't even practice his songs. Like, he literally just gets in the zone and these songs are downloaded to him. That's the real oracle. That's what it's all about. Like, when you go to church and it's all rehearsed and like you can't go past 12 o'clock and you open with like 3 fast songs and 2 slow songs and that's it. Like, how do you expect to receive downloads when you're dealing with that? And that's what's rising up. We're literally an army of edgy warriors that are just rushing into battle. And I just love the example set by Prophet Robin because he has that Habakkuk anointing, literally that Shiganoth, you know? And I've covered that word in a few previous videos, but that's the style of music that he was writing his prophecies in. And it's literally like a hardcore, wild, enthusiastic, and triumphant music because we're fighting the good fight. And a good fight is the fight that's already been won. We already have the victory, so that's what a good fight really is. But you can literally see it when he's playing, he's carrying this anointing. It's like the 3rd chapter in Habakkuk where he says a prayer or tefillah of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shiganoth. And he closes the chapter by saying, "To the chief singer on my stringed instruments." That pretty much sums up Robin's music style right there. But I know a lot of regular churchgoers would just be scandalized by this kind of thing, right? This is not the kind of thing you hear in normal churches. Normal churches, I mean institutionalized religion. But their day is numbered. The writing's on the wall, mene mene takel parsin. So warriors, it's time to stand up. Literally, this whole time since spring of 2020 has been buffeting us and making us even stronger, not only in our minds, but in character, and refining what we know we've come here to do. We're getting our priorities straightened out, and we're finding like-minded people that aren't afraid of propaganda. We're just moving forward in awareness with one goal, and that's to change this world. To fight for freedom, to fight for justice, to fight for liberty. So this is a call to stand up. And if you can't lead, just find somebody that is leading and get behind them. Because this force is accelerating forward. And if you're not fighting now, when this thing all blows over, like, you won't have any credentials. And like I said, you don't have to be leading the group, but find somebody who is leading. Find a like-minded team and just get behind it and give it all you've got. We're not all meant to be leaders, but we can all join David in the cave of Adullam. And personally, I'm proud to be a member of the cave of Adullam. And that story is really a great story and is as an example for us in our present day. Because, you know what? I'm just going to read straight from the text. This is the first book of Samuel, the 22nd chapter, and just the opening 2 verses. David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented gathered themselves unto him. And he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. Now this is literally when David is fleeing Saul, because Saul is out after his own life. Saul is out to kill David, and who does Saul represent? Well, he represents the government of the day that became corrupt and is just chasing down the good citizens. And I'm a proud member of the Cave of Adullam here in Calgary, which is the very organization that Pastor Artur Pavlovsky is leading. And it's so symbolically applicable because this is where like all the misfits, all the discontented people, all the people that see through the lies of the media and all this stuff,
You are fake news.
they're gathered together here, and we have church, but not your regular church. And when we're not in the cave, we're downtown on the street church, literally feeding the poor, delivering people, turning lives around, because that's what church is all about. It's not about sitting in a pew and listening to some preacher speak. That's not what it's all about. It's about going out there and changing lives.
Be eagles, be lions, or lionesses. I'm telling you, God is a good God. Look at this, look at the feast.
And you know, right now, that's exactly what Artur Pavlovsky is doing. The local government here in Calgary has come against him time after time after time, just for helping people in need downtown, just for giving out clothes, giving out food, and they're relentless against him. And it's escalated now that he kept his doors open during this whole pandemic. But that's the whole point. They can't tolerate any dissidents. And he's not even violent. He's not even calling people to arms. He's just saying we need to congregate as people. This is essential. And they're deeming us not essential. So they tried to make an example of him, but all they did was make him a hero. And I've known him since I was in junior high because he was doing this kind of stuff as long as I can remember. But even then they were giving him a hard time. But I'm going to let him talk. This is a segment from him on his tour in the States, speaking at one of these places.
Jesus never said, build me a church. He says, we are the church. We are the church, and we are to go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. That's what we're commanded to do. When you do that, you become famous in hell. And the devil notices who you are. So I have been hunted down. 2015, I won my last case. They left me be for a few years, and in March of 2020, the police showed up. I received a letter telling me to stop feeding the poor, stop congregating, or else. And I always take or else. So all else showed up, uniformed, with guns and tasers and tickets, and I became the first clergyman in Canada, in the entire nation, to get a COVID ticket. My parishioner was shoved, assaulted, I was threatened with millions of dollars and an arrest. I did it again and again and again, and that's how we were dancing. You know, Polish people, we like to dance. And in order to dance, you need an opponent or a partner. So we were dancing until November or October, late October, and the government officials came on television, and this is what they said. We're encouraging the kids to have Halloween. Go out there, and after they locked us and threatened, and then they said, well, have fun, kids. Just be safe, okay? That's the politicians in Canada, encouraging children to go and have a good time during Halloween. And then, just a month later, they came on television again, and they said, we're canceling Christmas. We are canceling Christmas, and we will be sending police officers to your homes to see if you have a dinner with your parents, if you have your brother for your coffee. And if we see more cars in your driveway, we will arrest you. So what I did, I called all my family and friends for dinner. I took a picture, I sent it to them. Come, baby. They didn't like that. They did not like that. So what I did more, because I don't like the devil. I don't like when the devil tells me what I can and cannot do. You see, I don't work for him. He was my boss before. Now I have a different boss. And that's not you. I have a boss. I say in my church, I say to them, don't you ever think that I work for you. You don't owe me. You don't pay me. I don't work for you. I have a boss. I work for him. And I do what he tells me to do. You can challenge me, take the Bible, challenge me biblically. But you will never control me. You will never manipulate me. So I invited the whole country to come to my Christmas celebration. I said, if I am to have a party, let's have a big one. And thousands showed up at City Hall. We did it. Caterers, Christmas worshippers. We had AAA steak. We had hundreds of gifts for the homeless. Oh, we had an amazing time. We also had over 100 police officers and 52 police cars. We had cops everywhere. I mean, you looked under the table and probably there was a cop sitting there. They had even a new team with zoom lens cameras and video camera. I mean, it was crazy. Anti-terrorists and the chief of police showed up. I think maybe he liked the carolers singing. I don't know. But he said to me, what are we going to do with you? And I said, oh, no. What are we going to do with you? You're giving me tickets after tickets after tickets. You're threatening me with millions of dollars. I said, let's make a deal here. And the cameras are rolling. Everyone is watching. I said, you give me one ticket for $1 billion. And let's be done with it. Let me become the first man on earth that gets such a big ticket. Instead of you giving me tickets after million, I just give me one big one. Give me one big one. Save your resources. And he looks at me like I'm crazy. I said, sir, listen to me. Here's how it's going to be. Shoot me dead. Shoot me dead. Shoot me right now and be done with it. Because I'm telling you, I'll never stop. I'll never stop feeding the poor. I'll never stop preaching the gospel. So if that's how it has to be, shoot me dead now and let's be done with it. But stop giving me those stupid tickets. I previously received 300. You just gave me 30. You have ways to go. So he was not very happy, so he sent SWAT team to our church location. You know, you take off the devil, you take off Chihuahua, he thinks he's a lion, he shows up with his friends and poops all over the place. You know, you were dealing with one, now you're dealing with a number of them. That's Antifa. They always come with their bodies. They started to vandalize our church. They started to, you know, they almost burned us alive. They put our house on fire. They unscrewed the bolts in our car. They punched me. They came to attack, yell, scream. You know, the normal thing that Chihuahuas do. And the police started to show up in our church. And the first thing they did, they blocked our driveway. preventing people from coming to the church. So it took me an hour to fend off those hyenas. They showed up with the telescopic cameras, taking pictures of our women and our children. And that was so low. People say, why did you call them Gestapo, SS? Why did you call them psychopaths? Because you see, the tactics of the KGB, the tactics of Gestapo were identical to the tactics that we're seeing right now. Intimidation, harassment, lawlessness. No rule of law, no constitution upholded. So they show up wearing a badge and pistol in their uniforms, but they are lawless creatures. They do not represent law and justice anymore. They're gangsters in uniforms. They're just Gestapo psychopaths. So when they took pictures of our women and children, I confronted them because that's exactly what the Gestapo did and KGB. If they could not get a man down, they would intimidate that man by taking pictures of his family. And here is the message. You know what we can do to your wife? We know where she works. We know where your kids go to school, and you have a 12-year-old daughter, right? You know what we can do to your daughter? How many officers can do stuff to your daughter? That's the game. So I kicked those devils out, trespassed them, but they showed up. And that's the video that was watched over 1 billion times, and it was the #1 watched video on earth during Easter celebration. I never planned that. I just did what I believed every pastor, every good shepherd should do. Just stand up and defend those that God entrusted me with. So when they showed up, I was ready to preach, and I looked and I saw those people coming, and what it came out of my mouth, you see, that was a Passover celebration. So I was preaching on let my people go so they can worship me in the wilderness. So what came out? Get out. That's what came out into my mind. Just get out. They would not move, so I ran to the pulpit. That's where I had my telephone. I took and I started to record. Because I have been lied so many times in the media that I've done things that I didn't, that now it's just a habit. I record. Just have my camera with me everywhere because crazy things are happening. I was accused of 7 criminal charges when I read the Bible in public. And if I did not have the camera, I would be probably still in prison. Because the police officer put 7 criminal charges on me. But thank God it was recorded. So I started to tell them, please get out. They would not move. It took me 30 times to fend off those hyenas and told them to come back with the warrants.
Out of this property, immediately out. I don't care what you have to say. Out! Out! Out of this property, you Nazis! Out! Out! Gestapo is not allowed here. Immediately, Gestapo is not allowed. Out! Do you understand English? Get out of this property. Go. So go. Go. And don't come back without the warrant. Out, Nazi. Out. Out. You understand? Nazis are not welcome here. Out. And don't come back without the warrant. Do not come back without the warrant. You understand that? You're not welcome here. Nazis are not welcome here. Gestapo is not welcome here.
I cleansed the temple, if you will, and they left, but they only left to show up a few weeks later with the warrants. And here is a story. They brought a document from a court. The judge that signed it, secretly, we were never notified about the proceedings, lawlessness, no rule of law. We were never notified that they are meeting with a judge, and this judge's name is David Gates. I don't know if he's a family with Bill Gates, but David Gates gave them this power. You can go to the church any time you want, any day of the week, whomever you want to come with. So they showed up with SWAT team. Anti-terrorists are coming to our church. I kicked them out anyway. Then they came back half hour later. We kicked them out anyway. So they showed up a few weeks later with another court order from another corrupted judge that doesn't follow the law. And they dropped it on the ground. They did not even read it to me. They didn't say anything. It was not sent to my lawyer. just dropped something on the ground. I said, don't touch it, it's contaminated. The Gestapo left, and people left as well. And when I was driving home with my brother David and our friend Dave Hughes, we were stopped in the middle of the highway and we were arrested for inciting people to come to church and for officiating a church service based on the order that was never given to us. That's how low the justice system has fallen. Later on, we were found guilty, even though I never received the order, was never read to me. Based on the order that was not given to me, was dropped on the ground, I was found guilty, facing 4 years prison for inciting people to come to church and officiating a church service. So we were arrested, manhandled, stripped naked, chains on our legs. They were trying to force us muzzle on our face. We refused. Mocked. They were mocking our Jesus. They were mocking our faith. They threw me on a wall. They confiscated my belongings and they threw them into a trash to provoke me that I would retaliate or do something. Which I said something. I always say something. When he threw, I said, "You're a thief." I said to the cop, "You're just a thief. You're just a gangster in uniform." He throws me on the wall. He says, "Are we going to have a problem with you?" I said, "I have a problem with you because you're a thief." You see, they think they have the power. But I'm telling you, God has the power. And we shall not be intimidated by chihuahuas that are pooping all over the place. Peeing wherever they go. I was arrested by my brother David for endangering people. We were thrown into a cell, our clothes taken away, cold like crazy. We were shivering. It was the filthiest cell you can imagine. Actually, it looked like few chihuahuas came because the pee was all over the floor. No mattress. Did not allow us to sleep for 3 days and 2 nights, except few moments that the guards changed and they recognized us and says, "This is not right." Even in their own ranks, they were good people. They are good police officers. They are good jailers. There's not many of them, but there are still some good people there. Not all cops are evil. Not all of them. Amen. Many are, but there's still some good people. So there's one guy said he provided us with a mattress just for an hour, I think, or 2 hours. And he says, "There's nothing else I can do for you guys, but this is horrible how you have been treated." We were taken to court, and then later the judge released us, but those people still kept us for 7 more hours. They did not want it to let us go. When we went home, we were followed by a police and a helicopter. Can you imagine? A pastor and his brother for opening church is becoming so dangerous to the establishment that a helicopter and the police, anti-terrorists, have to follow him home. It's insanity. It's crazy. So they kept us for 3 days, and then on the 3rd day, because we refused to wear a muzzle, they threw us into the same cell. So thank God, because at least we could talk to each other and we played soccer. So when you're arrested, the only thing they allow you to have is toilet paper. And you would say, "That's not much." Actually, that's a lot. Because you can make small balls. And here is a tip for you. You make a little ball. Don't play it because it will be broken. What you do, you put under a water. But don't play it yet. Don't rush it. Leave it for the ball to be dry. When a ball dries, and you make about 7, 8 of them, when the balls dry, they are flexible, strong, and you can play soccer all night long. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing else to do over there. So I prayed a lot. I walked in a circle, but drove my brother crazy. Because, walking in a circle. He said, "Stop it." And so I said, "Okay, let's play soccer then." So we had amazing fun playing soccer one-on-one. Because when I was in a solitary confinement, I did my balls over there. And it's hard to win against yourself. Because in the end, you don't know who won. So when they locked me with my brother, we had a real soccer game. And we had so much fun, and the jailers hated it. So they come and they steal our balls. Can you imagine? They come and they take our balls and they throw them in the garbage. I said, okay, good, let's make some more. So I made the second set, and we had an amazing game. And they came a second time and they stole our balls the second time. And I said, David, let's just drive them nuts. Let's keep making balls and see what happens. So I made the third set, and I have it still at my home. They said, like, they give up. You see, that's how you win. Because they are energized by demons. But we are energized by the Spirit of God. They cannot win. They can't. It's impossible for them to win. Amen. So I was in Portland just a week ago. I don't know if did you hear what happened in Portland? The Christian prayer group attacked. Well, Antifa learned I'm going to be there, so they came dressed for war. They came dressed for war with their shields, with their helmets, gas masks, weapons, pistols, clubs, the whole 9 yards. When we showed up, putting the speakers, we were attacked with fire bombs, tear gas, mace, things were thrown at us. There were kids with strollers, babies, women. They did not care. And the police department was there watching this attack, and they did not do anything. They watched the whole thing and they were smiling. Police department in Portland watched when children and women were attacked with illegal things, with tear gas, fire bombs. One woman was hit and she was burned, her arm was burned. Kids crying, and the cops watching the whole thing did absolutely nothing. Antifa demanded that we will stop to do what we came to do. So what did we come to do? We came to pray and worship our God. And they were so terrified that we came to do that, they wanted to stop it. We did not stop. We finished, we did what we came to do. Our equipment was thrown into a river. Our belongings were stolen by Antifa. And the cops watched the whole thing and did nothing. But we did finish what we came to do. And because they attacked us, I was supposed to be in Portland, Oregon for 1 hour. But because they did what they did, I said, I'm coming back. Next day, we had thousands of Christians showing up. Antifa showed up, but there was too many Christians and men that actually stood the ground. Tuesday, I came back again. We did another event. AD Antifa showed up, dressed for war. But we had patriots showing up, dressed for war too. Antifa tried, because they said they're going to assassinate me. They tried to reach me, but I had such a protection, no one could come near me. We stood our ground. Wednesday, we did another event. Antifa didn't show up. Thursday, I did another event. Antifa didn't show up. And Friday, I did another one. You see, I was supposed to be there for 1 hour. I extended my stay for 4 days. And that's how you fight them. That's how you win. You see, Chihuahuas, they don't have enough strength and power to keep going. You see, lions can run for miles. Chihuahuas, like with those little ugly legs, they can only go so far. You outlast them every time. You just have to stand your ground. In the Bible, it says, when you did everything to stand, stand. And that's what happened on your ground, in your country. So I want to finish with this message. Stand your ground. Never apologize for who you are. You are the sons and the daughters of the Most High God. You're the lions and lionesses of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Our Jesus is the lion from the tribe of Judah. We lions, we do not bow before hyenas. We eat them for breakfast. Be blessed.
He's now touring the States and teaching people, waking people up, and showing them, like, if this is happening in Canada, imagine where else it can happen. I mean, just look at what they're doing in Australia, taking children away from their parents. You know, it really takes someone strong with the heart of a lion to stand up and tell these dictators to get out. And he wasn't exaggerating when he called them Gestapo, because that is literally the tactics that were used in the Second World War. That's exactly what they did. And he came from communist Poland, and he's saying, if you don't wake up now, you're going to wake up without any rights one day.
You see, I grew up in a communist Poland, that Poland got its freedom when people finally decided to unite.
Yes!
That's the key.
Yes! Yes! We gotta unite!
We have to unite. I understand that some of you are not religious people, and that's okay. That's your freedom in this country. My freedom is to believe, and that's my right. But together today, we can focus on those people across the street, the corrupted politicians and corrupted media. And we can come together and push them away from our lives, from our kids, from the future of this country. And we will not do it.
And we're literally seeing that unfold right before our eyes. So yeah, we can't cower to fear. We gotta be like those 3 young Hebrew boys in Daniel 3 that looked up at that golden statue and said, "We will not bow." And guess what? The penalty was death. And I'm sure there were people around them saying, yeah, let's just bow so all the guards see us, the king sees us, but you know what? We won't be sincere in our hearts. What people are bowing to now is way more serious than that. Guess what people are doing right now has so much effect on their bodies, and you know, people are dying. I won't get into that. This is way more serious. So if people are cowering now, imagine if it was just a statue. And people are cowering to this when the effects are so severe. Like, you'd think people would think it through a bit more. But you know what? It's all the same thing. It's just the state of humanity. And you know what? I used to vouch for humanity. I used to say, yeah, we're decent. We can think for ourselves. We can do things for ourselves. And now looking around, I'm just like, really disappointed. But then again, like-minded people gravitate to like-minded people. And when I saw through this thing, like right from day one, when toilet paper was sold out at Costco and people were talking about the toilet paper apocalypse, I had no clue what was going on. And then I'm like, dude, you're buying the media's narrative. That's the problem right there. But nobody could even see past that. And I was appalled. I was appalled. And, you know, I wanted to hold on to some of those relationships. I wanted to hold on to that employment. But Source was just like, took me right out of it. And look what came out of it. So I'm grateful for that, because all these people fighting and arguing and turning against me just made me think more for myself, realize more of who I'm here to be, and get in line with like-minded people and actually step forward and act in that vision. This is good watermelon. But it might seem that we're in the minority and, you know, like the whole world is rigged against us. Of course, the entire media is rigged against us. Bought out government and institutions are rigged against us. But it's up to the prophetic to stand against it, stand right in the face of all of that and say, "Thus saith Jehovah." And it's time now that we actually have to start mocking the prophets of Baal. Who are the prophets of Baal? The media, the false narratives, all these spokespeople in government, all these talking heads you see on TV that are telling you, COVID. That's right, we have to start mocking it. And if you think that's not a biblical way to act, let me read you something from the showdown on Mount Carmel when Eliyahu or Elijah was challenging the prophets of Baal. If you don't know the story, I actually made a video on this very subject because this literally is a parallel to the very time that we're going through. But he literally challenged them because there was a drought, and Baal was supposed to be the god, at least, of fertility and vegetation and all that kind of stuff. So he challenged all these prophets. He brought them up to the mountain and he said, okay, we're going to have a showdown. You build one altar and put the sacrifice on it. I'm going to build another altar and put the sacrifice on it. You call out to Baal, I'll call out to Yahweh, and whoever answers by fire, that is God. So the prophets of Baal, prepared their altar and they called out to Baal, but there was no answer. And this went on all morning. And then when it was about noon, Eliyahu mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking or he is pursuing. The actual Hebrew there means he's taken a dump. Or he's in a journey. Or perhaps he sleeps and must be awakened. So they cried loud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets till the blood gushed out upon them. And they continued doing this until the evening. But there was no answer. And there was literally 850 of them versus one Elijah. So after all the people were getting tired, Elijah called the people to himself and said, okay, guys, it's my turn. So he built the altar, which was basically decimated because nobody cared for Yahweh at that time, at least in that period of Israel's history. But he built up the altar, he put the sacrifice on, and then he made a trench around it and literally doused the whole sacrifice with 4 barrels 3 times. So a total of 12 barrels, just drenching the whole altar and sacrifice. And the water flowed out into the trench around the altar. But then he called out to Yahweh and said, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that you are Yahweh Elohim, and that you have turned their heart back again. So it's not any magic trick. It's not any person doing these things. It's literally Yahweh, pure source, that hammer of justice. And what happened? Fire came down and consumed the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the dust, and literally just licked up the water that was in the trench. And when the people saw it, they had to acknowledge what had happened. So they acknowledged that Yahweh was God. And then the penalty for the false prophets was death. They were all put to death for misleading not only the people, but the whole nation. And that's what we're going to see right now, because there are codes enacted already that these people have transgressed, and literally they're running scared. They're petrified right now, but the media is just perpetrating this false narrative that keeps them looking like they're secure in their bunkers or their mansions or whatever, on top of the hill looking down at all of us cattle. But that time is over, because we are not cattle. We are sovereign, and we've reclaimed our rights. We've reclaimed our dominion, and we're taking back this world for source. And we're calling down fire. It's time that those of us that are awake call down fire. And I'm not talking literal fire that will like destroy things. I'm talking about spiritual fire, that real fire of the living logos, revival fire. And when we personally go before the courts, not Queen's Bench, but the courts of heaven, and call down this fire, we're literally going to see this ripple out into the world and change things, line things up, and bring people in like never before. Literally, this time we're living in right now is like none other before, and we're seeing this unfold. It's such a great time to be alive. Like generations of time past are so jealous of what we're able to experience and how we're able to change the world. Nothing in history ever compares to this time in history. I'm not just talking about the oppression that's being exposed and all the manipulation and lies that's been exposed, but our potential to actually change this and redirect this system, course correct it towards truth and light and justice for all. And we will see that utopia, because we are sovereign beings, and our worth is beyond anything that we have been privy to in times past. And they hold it from us based on the idea that we're incompetent and lost at sea and all that other legalese jargon. But literally, when we break the hold that they have over our souls and we come before the courts of heaven, nothing can stand in our way. And it is unfolding. It's a process, because we're living in the physical time-space reality, and it is taking time to tie up all these loose ends. But it is inevitable, because it's been set in the causal realm. So stay optimistic, guys. Keep on the course. Keep fighting the fight. And when you've done all else, stand firm, because it's with that faith that you can quench all the attacks that the enemy throws at you. But with that being said, I'm going to end the show here. I'll check you in a future video. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really do. I really do, because I know all the subscribers that subscribe to this show, to this channel, are truth seekers. And we are literally digging through all the illusion to find the best way that Source can work in us and through us. And I send you blessings every night, no matter what. Even if I'm falling asleep, I just force myself and I make sure that I send you guys blessings. Because we're all part of this high vibe tribe. We're all in this together, and we're all leading the way for the new way society works. You know what the new normal is going to be? It's going to be super normal, supernatural, extraordinary, because we are extraordinary. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. So I'll check you guys in the next video. Joel signing out once again. Agape, salaam, namaste, hotep. Boom, 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 boom. We're back. All right.